Ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing some of the market with Ethereum, some Bitcoin, and some others as well. We're going to go over the market review. But is Ethereum looking to go up? Well, let's discuss it now. If you haven't already, do subscribe, drop your comment, and I will see you. All right, so Ethereum is trading around 1,792 today. When we're looking, we do have a triangle kind of set up here. Now, this is kind of just a general idea coming back from the past, which is more of a solid. I have more of I'm trying to make it more of a solid point of support kind of coming in right here. And this is honestly where we can look when we look further back down, touching multiple lows here. Now, when we're speaking about this triangle that we got going on, it's kind of important at this moment as, well, it's not so strong as far as our resistance levels coming up. But as we're coming into this funnel in the triangle, we are looking to kind of come back up above it, which is honestly, it looks very, very likely that it is possible, given if we're looking kind of center here is where we kind of are now. Of course, it's kind of undecided at this moment, starting to be undecided, but still shifting towards the seller. Now, when we're looking at the MACD, for example, you can see that it is slightly coming up above, and it can change at any moment. So it's a little unsure of what's going on, but we could break out and start to rise. There are reports that Ethereum could actually shift up and really still go up really, really well, even in the declining world economy at this moment. But all in all together, it is looking a little bearish, to say the least. But it could potentially turn bullish as we see. There's a lot of big strings kind of coming in, and if you really kind of look at the last major turbulence that the market had as far as kind of redefining the structure of what's going on, this is a big one, and I do expect it to kind of come up at this point, given that this is more of a memorable moment in the market as far as the 11th of May. And a good entry point was probably around here, around the 1800. Even though it's kind of dipped down, that's a good entry point in the market, especially if it starts to break out and go through. We're going to see it actually probably touch back 2000 again in the next month or two, is what I'm expecting to kind of happen, depending on, of course, world events that's coming through. But you can see where we had these last big drops as far as like in January, this big last major turbulence that happened here. And it did kind of pump in the same thing that happened back in March, that major turbulence that came down and it pumped. Now we have this big, I'm going to call this major because it's around 30% or more. It's more memorable as far as the market structure goes. And I believe it's going to do the same thing. Of course, we had even here back in November of last year, the same kind of drop that happened. So I'm expecting Ethereum to really touch at least back around 2200, putting us back where in a comfortable zone. As far as being that comfortable where we're at least going to see some kind of positive output coming in. As far as Bitcoin goes, Bitcoin is kind of really fighting us on this. Now, I come up there, it does show some growth coming in, it's still fighting back at 29,750. And when I say it's showing some growth, it's starting to at least show a promise that it's going to come back up. It's kind of this moment where we're just getting bored at this moment, trading around 30,000, 29, back and forth, just touching 31 back on the 30th of May and kind of continuing to go around there. When we look at the lower time frame, let's say 4 hours, we're going to see that it's really just kind of dead in the water. Minus that, again, the 31st of May, the 32,000 it touched, right? Briefly, just for a second in that moment. And then it was opened up the next day around 32. But it did fall, of course, in that moment. So it's a lot, ever since May, beginning of May, it has just had that big market move from the 9th of May, that turbulence that we're seeing kind of going along with Terra Luna as well, that drop. And it's just been kind of static. Now we have some big drops roughly around the same on the 20th. Again, 3 days later, the same. And so it's continuing, but it is above this medium range, if you want to call it. So it's kind of bouncing around there. Now, the longer we stay in the medium range, we do have a higher possibility of actually going up. But right now, it is keeping us rather bored. Let's look at Cardano, right? Cardano is one of those coins that I don't cover a lot, but there is a lot of stuff going on. It's starting to kind of shift power, especially with Ethereum down. People are kind of moving towards Cardano. It's had a lot of power moving in the last couple of days. And Cardano looks like, as if we make this triangle and such our way, right? Let's just touch right here. And so in our triangle here, we're also on the brink, just like Ethereum. It is kind of right there on the verge of a breakout, and that could happen. We could roughly see around $1.10 finally in the upcoming months. And even as it crossed over, it's really kind of close, bouncing in, but it still continues to maintain that kind of shift in power. Of course, around the 31st of May, we had that good little push. Let's call it. I'm not gonna call it a pump, but a good little push coming in. Now, of course, it's retracting a little bit, but giving what we're looking at as far as our triangles go, and as far as the resistance kind of coming in, it is not so. It's not such a strong. It's not such a strength for support right now. It's not very strong for that. But I'm making this a point where we can actually see this move in. Even if we look at the lower time frame in the last 4 hours, let's take a look at that together. One moment. Let's just make this a little bit bigger so we can kind of get an idea. Now, even for the last 4 hours of the second and third over the last couple of days, minus for the third, which was kind of a retracement, which is honestly normal, right? It's kind of showing in this little push in this fight. And it's kind of hard to really call at this moment. We haven't had too many big market structure changes, except for back in the beginning of May, the same between the 9th, and everybody felt that, right? So if we're talking about the 9th, everybody felt that market change. So that was really big. And on the 11th, of course, Cardano had that big one. So that was moving in. But just like Ethereum, I do believe it's going to push back up and come back over. And on the 31st of May, we had a pump up to 68. Now, of course, it's back down to 0.56. So it's starting to push over. And if we're looking at this, if we're making this a triangle, for example, it is starting to push over through, and it's kind of retouching and banging on that. So if you think of kind of banging on that resistance, it's a time for actually to push up. So if you had entered the market right here, for example, on the 3rd of June, or any of these last few days, honestly, I expect you're going to make some money, especially even if you're not like in for the long haul, but if you are just trading as a day trader, for example, this is a good moment to see that it's going to pump up potentially a little bit later on. Now, day trading, of course, now is it going to do it today or tomorrow? Not really, but in general, I do see that this is a good time to enter the market for Cardano if you're trying to make some change. All in all together. But let's look at the market as a whole. So the market as a whole, right? Bitcoin's at minus for the 24 hours, 0.26, up by 2.80%. Ethereum is up by 0.78 for the week, 0.49 for the daily. Cardano's up for the weekly by 22.67%. This is what I'm telling you, is showing some bullish signs, which is really good. As far as the 24-hour period, only down by 0.04%. XRP is up by almost 2% for the weekly, and Solana is kind of starting to fall through by 10.14% for the weekly and 3.12%. As Doge is kind of up by 1.30%, so 0.08155. Doge is looking kind of, I'm not too sure about Doge at this moment, honestly. I don't really follow Doge personally, but I think a lot of the coins, especially here in the next upcoming months, the top 10, top 20 coins are going to be the ones to really kind of hold on to at the moment as we watch the altcoin kind of start to unravel. So AVAX, so is also kind of pushing through. It's not that great coin if we're speaking such as power or even pushing things in, but 2.89%. But AVAX was kind of a good coin to pump, I know, a year ago. And I would expect AVAX to honestly kind of push up even higher a little bit soon. Giving it, I would expect AVAX to kind of push in. People do believe in AVAX pretty well. It is one of the more popular coins. Matic as well. I expect Polygon to kind of continue to push as well at 2.31 for the 7-day period and up by 1% for the 24-hour. Litecoin is also by struggling at 0.45 for the 24 and 0.40 for the weekly in the green. As far as the upper coins, that's what we have at the moment. And we have, of course, like Qcoin is up by for the weekly. We have True USD is barely kind of holding on, so nothing really too major there. But Axie Infinity is actually up by 12.19% for the weekly and 2.86 for the 24 hours. So I have trust in Axie coming in as well, a little bit higher, but nothing too major. That's all I have for you guys today. Do subscribe, drop a comment, and I will see you guys next time.